So whether you want to call it, you can sit. Thank you. Whether you want to call it strange Torah or shadow Torah or under Torah, it is guaranteed to be a delightful creature feature, a Torah creature feature. This morning it is my pleasure, my honor to invite our Torah teacher this morning to the Bima, Rabbi Bryan, to share with us a bit of strangeness. I will say that there are source sheets. In fact, there are two sets of source sheets. And the first is a bit of a misprint, kind of the beta copy. And so we reprinted it, but here you all are, and there are so many of you. And of course, we don't count Jews, but I can see that there are more of you than there are correct copies. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand out all of them, and it might be chaos, but be sure to be sitting next to someone who has a source sheet that looks like this. If you happen to have one that looks like this. They're the same, but there's some key pieces that have been cut out by the printer in the second source. So I will pass them around. The other thing I'd like to say is that in order to make the teaching accessible to those who are joining us from the ether out in the Weber nets, the cybersphere, we want to make sure that they can hear us. And so if there's any conversation, I will do my best to run the mic, but if you could just give it a second, because I'm tired. So.
Amazing.
Oh, here we are.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, friends. As we orient here, I'm also going to orient our friends who have joined us online. So if you are on the Congregation Emmanuel email list, the source sheet was sent out in this week's newsletter. So in the very top of the newsletter, you should see a link that says, click here for source sheet. Click on that. If you're not on the Congregation Emmanuel listserv, then if you are connected to me on social media, they've put the source sheet on various places on both Facebook and Instagram. And if you're not, you can go to Sefaria, SEFARIA,
means library.
.org, search for Esau the Vampire ? And you should see a thing that says Sheets. Click on Sheets, and then click on the source sheet with the same name, Esau the Vampire ? Let's take a breath to orient ourselves. It is a tradition in my learning community, my main learning community, Sfara, a traditionally radical yeshiva, to begin learning with dedications. I'm also going to take my mask off since I'm far enough away from most of you. To begin learning with dedications. A dedication could be in honor of someone you want to honor. It could be a blessing sending out to those in need of healing or peace. It could be in honor of someone who would utterly be shocked that you are here today learning some funky Torah, but who you still want to honor. So I'm going to open up now to 3 to 5 dedications. Does someone want to make a dedication for our learning today?
My dad. Zichrono Livracha.
To Sheldon's dad, whose yahrzeit is next week. To my other daughter, whose bat mitzvah portion was this week.
It's a good one.
Amazing. I'm going to dedicate to my mom. Had some interesting conversations recently, and they've been insightful and I think a little bit healing. I'm going to say the blessing for Torah study, which you can find in the prayer book on page 204. You're welcome to join me or just say Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, ruler of time and space, Adonai our God, ruler of time and space, who invites us to get busy with words of Torah. What do we know about vampires? In order to answer the question whether or not Esau was a vampire, we have to know things about vampires. So what do we know about vampires?
They suck blood.
They suck blood. Was that what you were going to say? Yeah. Do you have something else? Do you know something else about vampires?
They don't like garlic.
They don't like garlic. Anything else?
No sun.
No sun.
They fly.
They fly.
They live a long time.
They live a long time.
Is there like a bat association?
There's a bat association, at least in some like lore, right? I'll also name that like there's a ton of different vampire lore, right? For some of us, Dracula is our core like vampire lore. For some of us, Twilight is our core vampire lore. For some of us,
it's the Count Von Count.
it's the Count Von Count, right? Chocolate, vampires and chocolate, sure, why not, right? So that's to say that much like Midrash, much like some of the texts that we're gonna read, there's a lot of differing opinions and thoughts and beliefs about vampires. But to begin, I do not want to be the only voice in the room, so I would love if someone very loudly, so our friends on Zoom can, or our friends on the live stream can hear us, is someone willing to read the very first text for us, Genesis 25, 27 to 28. We're jumping back a couple parshiot, we're jumping back a couple of Torah readings, but we'll get to this week, I promise.
Torah is not linear. Who's our reader? Who's waving her?
Looks like Sheldon was maybe volunteering.
From the bottom.
Well, you can hold it.
Okay.
When the boys grew up, Esau became a skilled hunter, a man of the outdoors, but Jacob became a mild man, raising livestock. Isaac favored Esau because of the game in his mouth, but Rebekah favored Jacob.
Isaac favored Esau because the game in his mouth. This is where Bereshit Rabbah, the midrashic tradition, the fantastical stories of our rabbis, is going to pick up with our first proof that Esau was a vampire. Does someone want to read out Bereshit Rabbah 63:10? The first line is just the same line we just read, but feel free to read it out.
If I were a bat, this would go faster. Here you go.
The lads grew. Esau was a man who knew hunting, a man of the field. Jacob was a simple man, a dweller in tents. Esau was a man who knew hunting. He would ensnare people with his mouth. Say you did not steal, who stole with you? You did not kill, who killed with you? Isaac loved Esau because of the game in his mouth, and Rebekah loved Jacob. Isaac loved Esau because of the game in his mouth, good meat for his mouth and a good cup for his mouth. And Rebekah loved Jacob. The more she would hear his voice, the more she would add love unto her love for him.
So there's different commentary on different things in this midrash, but the thing that we're focusing on is the Esau was a man who knew hunting. Said. And what this midrash is doing is some wordplay. Admittedly, I did not go as in-depth on this midrash myself, so if there are better Hebrew speakers than I, or Hebrew translators than I, please chime in. What this midrash is claiming is this word said, which biblically, in the literal translation, is hunting, is a parallel with sad, meaning like ensnare people with what? His mouth. What do we know about vampires? They bite people. So that is our first from our midrash. That our first proof is that Esau, this hunter out in the field, how does he hunt? He hunts with his mouth. That's our first proof that Esau maybe, possibly, could be a vampire. Let's get into our next bit of text. We're under red stuff. Who wants to read? Again, we're starting with a biblical text. We're starting with Torah. Kate is down to read. Thank you.
Once when Jacob was cooking a stew, Esau came in from the open, famished. And Esau said to Jacob, "Give me some of that red stuff to gulp down, for I am famished," which is why he was named Edom. Jacob said, "First sell me your birthright." And Esau said, "I am at the point of death, so what use is my birthright to me?"
A side note that the commentary is going to pick up on, Edom is a Hebrew word for red. So when it says that's why Esau was named Edom, that's another red link. Formatting got weird, but the next English is from Rashi, our Torah commentator that many people use to help us fill in some gaps. Someone want to read the Rashi commentary, beginning with Vayitzad, sorry.
Yes. Do you want me?
Yes. Actually, you can skip where it says number 1 and just jump to where it says number 2. That's the important one. On the very top of the page, your version might be cut off. If you want to steal my version, you can.
And he was faint through murdering people, just as you mentioned faintness in connection with murder. For my soul fainteth before the murderers.
Say more about your wow, Franny, please.
Well, the association, I mean, I always have thought it was weird. Ayif means tired, like
Right.
in Hebrew, in modern Hebrew, and so, yeah, I just thought it was like a straight, it's always like kind of a weird translation, but I'm like, that now they're like, oh, the Rashi is saying like that word is also found in Jeremiah in this particular context of murdering, and so it's like, well, that's what Esau was doing, which is, I feel like this is definitely more proof.
Right? So let's be clear, right? Biblically, all we have is Esau's a hunter. He's out in the field. He's hunting, presumably to get some meat for his dad, who loves his meat. That was an awkward way of saying that. And he comes back and he's tired. He's really tired. He's really faint. He's really famished. Those are all different ways of translating this oaf or ayef word. But here, what Rashi is saying is like, no. We have in a different place in Tanakh, in Jeremiah and prophets, where this word, tired or faint, is about murdering people. And so that must mean what Esau was doing while he was hunting was out murdering people. And now, where Rashi got that was from Bereshit Rabbah, was from Genesis Rabbah, and we're now going to read out that Bereshit Rabbah text.
I'd like to read, but let me know where I'm at.
Do we have a reader?
Yeah, what's raising your hand?
Cool.
1 second, we.
And this one's long, so if you want to there's a bolded line. If you want to pause before the bolded line and trade off, you're welcome to, because this is a long one.
Okay. 12, right? Esau came from the field, Rabbi Yudin in the name of Rabbi Avu, Rabbi Pinhas in the name of Rabbi Levi, and the rabbis in the name of Rabbi Simon. You find that Abraham lived 175 years and Isaac 180. Those 5 years that the Holy One blessed, he withheld from his life. It is because Esau was violated 2 transgressions. He consorted with the betrothed young woman, as is stated, for he found her in the fields, and he was wary. He killed a person, just as it says, for my soul is wearied by the killers. Rabbi said, the Holy One blessed be he said.
You missed one.
He stole as well, just as it says, if these came from you, if plunders of the night. The Holy One blessed be he said, this is what I promised to Abraham and said to him, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried at a good old age. Is this a good old age? That he sees his grandson engaging in idol worship, engaging in forbidden sexual relations, and shedding blood? Is it preferable that he leave the world without seeing it? That is what is written, for your kindness is better than life.
Let's pause here. Whole lot of stuff. Rabbi Jack made reference 2 weeks ago how Esau is kind of defamed in our texts a lot. And this is one of those points, right? What we have here, Abraham and Isaac lived super duper long, longer than most humans live, but Esau didn't. Why? Well, look at all of the awful stuff that Esau did. And that's why. And not only that, Abraham died, and that was better for Abraham to die than to see all of the horrible things Esau did, right? Not great. Not my favorite way of painting Esau, but this is that text that Rashi is making reference of that link between he was faint or tired and murdering people. That's where this comes from. Let's keep going now. Is someone willing to pick up in this text in the bolded line?
Esau said to Jacob, "Feed me now from that red dish, as I am weary." Therefore, his name is called Edom. Esau said to Jacob, "Feed me now from that red." Rabbi Zariah said, "That wicked one opened his mouth wide like a camel." He said to him, "I will open my mouth, and you continuously pour." Like what we learned, one may not forcibly overfeed a camel, and one may not force feed it. However, one may place food into its mouth. From that red, Rabbi Yonan and Reish Lakish, Rabbi Yonan said, "From him and from his patron." Reish Lakish said, "From him and from those like him."
So let's pause there. From him and from his patron, or from him and those like him, right? So another claim that Esau is feeding off people, and that this red stuff that Esau was feeding from might have been blood.
I thought it was lentils.
I also thought it was lentils. Who here also thought it was lentils? Exactly. Let's get into the next part of this text, and then we'll read an even more clearer text linking the lentils to blood. This is coming from Bereshit Rabbah 63:12, which is in the same time as Talmudic text. So this is that old. We're in Talmudic text time 600 to 800, or is that Mishnah? Yeah, but like ancient text, right? That's where we're still hanging out in. Does someone want to pick up on the very last paragraph, at least on this page, it's the last paragraph?
Dave is going to read.
What was that?
Dave is going to read.
Cool, thank you, Dave.
Right here.
So you're picking up where it says, he is red.
Right here. Right just below your finger.
Okay, here's anything nice and red to eat. He is red, his cooked food is red, his land is red, his warriors are red, his garments are red. One who is red exacts retribution against him in red garments. He is red. The first is emerald ruby. He has cooked food in red. Food is now from his land in red. The land of Seir to the field of Edom. He is mighty, are red. His warriors shields are reddened. His garments are red. His shoulders are colored, scaled. One who is red exact tributes against him. My beloved is clear and ruddy in red attire. Why is there red in your attire?
Cool, thank you. So this is just a litany of all of the ways that Esau is linked with redness. And when I was doing some research and some looking into this, and this first came up, Natan Slifkin, which it was my first entry point into this Torah, has an amazing article called Was Esau a Vampire? And in that, he claims that redness is linked to vampirism, which was a claim that I had never heard before, that redness is linked to vampirism. And so I did some digging, I did some research. I have a roundup of some regional folklore from different places where redness is linked with vampirism, specifically in Romania and in Ukraine, but we're also dealing with a tradition that largely comes from Babylonia and Palestine and Israel in the Middle East. So I'm not so sure about this whole red hair and vampirism and redness and vampirism. And Natan Slifkin, with love and respect, he purposely doesn't cite his sources because he wants people to decide for themselves how much it matters if it's a modern claim versus an ancient claim for our evidence. So I'm still not fully down on the redness link, But Edom, Adom, is there another Hebrew word that comes to mind when you hear the word Edom or Adom? Adamah and Adam. Let's go back to Adam. What does Adam mean? Human being. But also dam, blood, right? And so there's all of these like wordplay you can do, and let's remember we're in an oral tradition first, right? And our Torah didn't initially have vowels. So again, this red stuff, this Adom, right? You could read as Adam. No one in the commentary goes there, which I think is strange, because if we really want to prove Esau's a vampire, that's how I think we do it. But here we are. Now we are going to go into the probably most glaring set of texts to prove Esau's vampirism. We're in the section under "and he kissed him." Before we start in English, because this is important, I want you to look at the very last line of Hebrew and the second word, remembering that Hebrew goes right to left, the second to last word, vayishakehu, and notice that there are a bunch of dots above that word. That is how this word is written in Torah since time immemorial. This word is always written with these dots above it, and commentary thinks that's really important, and we'll find out why. Is someone willing to read our Torah text when now we are coming into this week's Parsha?
So is he starting here? That's where we left off here.
Looking up Jacob saw. Genesis 33:1-4.
This one.
Looking up, Jacob saw Esau coming with a
Retinue.
of 400. He divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the two maids, putting the maids and their children first, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph last. He himself went on ahead and bowed low to the ground 7 times until he was near his brother. Esau ran to greet him. He embraced him, and falling on his neck, he kissed him, and they wept.
So before we even get into any commentary, any midrash, what do you notice? His neck. He fell on his neck. And this could simply be, right, like, you know, every now and again, I like to sweetly nuzzle my partner, like, kind of toward his neck, right? And so, like, it could just be that. It could be just a kiss. Maybe it was only a kiss. How did it end up like this? But let's go into and again, we're still in Bereshit Rabbah. Everything we were presented so far of this claim is from Talmudic time. So jumping now to Bereshit Rabbah 78:9, is someone willing to be our reader?
Oh, Sue.
Someone?
Sue's got it.
Esau ran to meet him and kissed him. It is dotted above it. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar said, "Every place you find a script more numerous than the dots, you expound the script. The dots more numerous than the script, you expound the dots. Here, neither is the script more numerous than the dots, nor are the dots more numerous than the script. Rather, it teaches that at that moment he was overcome with mercy and he kissed him with all his heart." Rabbi Yanai said to him, "If so, why is it dotted over it? Rather, it teaches that he did not come to kiss him, but rather to bite him. And Jacob's neck was transformed into marble, and the teeth of that wicked one were blunted. Why does the verse state, 'and they wept'? It is rather that this one wept over his neck, and that one wept over his teeth."
There's one more line. Can you
There
finish
is?
out that last line?
Oh, let me see.
Rabbi Abahu?
Rabbi Abanu, in the name of Rabbi Yohanan, derives it from
Here.
That's all here. Your neck is like the ivory tower. Sorry.
Cool. Thank you. So this whole dot thing took me a minute to understand. Radak, which is the next text, explains it a little bit better, but to summarize, basically there's a debate that there are more words than just this one that have dots over them. And one rabbi is claiming that if there are more dots than letters, you interpret according to the dots. So if we're relying on the dots to claim this was a bite, if there were more dots than letters, then okay, great, it's a bite. And there's another rabbi that says when there's more letters than dots, you interpret based off the plain meaning. It was a kiss. But here, what they're saying is it's neutral. There's an equal amount of dots and letters. I don't know that that's actually true. I didn't look close enough to count. Rabbi's on it for me. And so we have kind of neutrality here. We could go one way or the other. And the reason I wanted you, Sue, to finish that last text is because there's a double interpretation here, right? If we think this is a bite, then we have to deal with the fact that they were weeping. Why were they weeping in this verse if it's a text, if it's a bite? If it's not a, sweet embrace of brothers who haven't seen each other since this very intense departure that happened, if it's not that, then why are they weeping? They're weeping because we have this verse in Song of Songs, our love poetry, that's all about how attractive people are. And in that expression of attraction, someone says, your neck is like an ivory tower. And they use that text to say, what happened? When Esau went to bite when Esau went to bite Jacob, Jacob's neck literally transformed into stone or ivory. And so he starts weeping because what the F is happening to my neck? Or starts weeping because his brother tried to bite him. And Esau starts weeping because he just tried to bite stone. And that's painful. And now he's weeping because his teeth hurt. That is what this text is doing here. Where are we at? Are we convinced? Who here thinks Esau was a vampire? Show of hands. We are a little bit. We got a couple maybes, but we are largely unconvinced. Amazing. Let's go into probably one of the most, we're not at the wrestling match yet. Okay, can someone read our last text under this section, the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer 37:8. Another claim on this bite.
Hey, Rabbi Eliezer one?
Yep.
Okay. When Jacob passed to come into the land of Canaan, Esau came to him from Mount Seir in violent anger, contriving to slay him. As it is said, the wicked plotteth against the just and gnasheth upon him with his teeth. Esau said, I will not slay Jacob with bows and arrows, but with my mouth and with my teeth I will slay him and suck his blood. Oh, it's direct. As it is said, and Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. Do not read Vayishakehu, and he kissed him, but read Vayishkehu, and he bit him. But Jacob's neck became like ivory, and concerning him, the scripture says, thy neck is like the tower of ivory. The wicked Esau, aka Esau's teeth became blunt, and when the wicked one saw that the desire of his heart was not realized, he began to be angry and to gnash with his teeth. As it is said, the wicked shall see it and be grieved. He shall gnash with his teeth and melt away.
So here we have a different commentator coming in with different sets of lines from Psalms to prove the same claim, that Esau tried to bite Jacob. Let's move into now probably one of the most famous sections of this parsha, this week's parsha, the well-known wrestling match. Dave.
On what drugs were the rabbis on?
Are you going to read? You're not reading. Just
No.
from the peanut gallery. I can read. And so the gift went on ahead when he remained in camp that night. That same night he arose, and taking his 2 wives, his 2 maidservants, and his 11 sons, he crossed the fords of the Yabbok. After taking them across the stream, he sent across all his possessions. Jacob was left alone. And a figure wrestled with him until the break of dawn. When he saw that he had not prevailed against him, he wrenched Jacob's hip at its socket, so that the socket of his hip was strained as he wrestled with him. Then he said, "Let me go, for dawn is breaking." But he answered, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." Said the other, "What is your name?" He replied, "Jacob." Said he, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with beings divine and human and have prevailed." Jacob asked, "Pray, tell me your name." But he said, "You must not ask my name." And he took leave of him from there. So my text is cut off at the top, but let me see. So
Jacob named the place Peniel,
meaning I have seen a divine being face to face, yet my life has been preserved. The sun rose upon him as he passed Peniel, limping on his hip.
There's a lot of questions that this text raises. One of them being, who is this person Jacob wrestles with? One of our answers is in our next text. Super short. Does someone want to read it?
Rabbi Chama ben Chanina said, "It was Esau's guardian angel. That is what he said to him. For therefore I have seen your face as the sight of the face of angels, and you welcomed me."
So this text claims that the person Jacob wrestles with, the person that gives Jacob the blessing of the name change, of our namesake, Yisrael, one who struggles with the divine, is Esau's guardian angel. There are others who claim it's Esau himself. The next text that I have on here is kind of a litany from Natan Slivkin on different ways to prove Esau's vampirism on this text, including the fact that this being had to leave before daybreak, including that they wrestled on one side of water, because according to some lore, vampires can't cross water, including some other stuff. But what I want to sit with, what I want to ask, the whole reason I brought this Torah today, is because whether we think Esau was a vampire, or whether we just have a litany of texts where the rabbis claim Esau was the most evil person in the world, what does it mean that that's the person, or that person's guardian angel, is also who the rabbis claim gave us our namesake? Gave us our namesake. Gave us this blessing of Yisrael. Gave us this blessing that we are people who will strive with divine and humanity. What do we make of that? Vampires aren't all bad.
From the back.
From the back. From our amazing, wonderful sound and video, Master Barry. Thank you. What else do we make of this? God is in the light and dark. Who said that? Thank you.
Radhika.
That you can struggle with evil and prevail. But that still leaves us with the question of, it's evil that gave us this blessing.
Also, the possibility that, let's say we say that a vampire is a creature that is in their own, behavior of vampirism is that itself is a struggle. And so by experiencing that, they have an extra knowing that allows them to see the potential of the blessing and the struggle in Jacob.
Right? That a vampire's own inner struggle, or Esau's own inner struggle, or the angel of Esau's struggle helped them to see Jacob in a holy way, in a way that helped them to know him so much to rename him and give him this blessing.
without Judas, Christians have no religion.
Sometimes you need evil to make good.
Like evidence of just magic, like this that you don't know.
Evidence of magic that you just don't know. Say another sentence or two.
Like not knowing if he's a vampire or evil or some combination or neither. There's some magic in it that this is how we get the name Israel.
Yeah. There's mystery, and maybe there's magic in mystery, right? And there's a reason that the Torah was given over this way, either orally or then written, that it's really vague, right? At one point, this being is called Ish, man. At another point, this being is called angel, Elohim, right? At various, like, this text of our name change is written in a way that begs interpretation because it's so unclear. Barry, or not Barry, sorry.
Dave.
Something about vampires, like if you're an Orthodox Jew and you got bitten by a vampire, you have one problem because we're not allowed to eat blood. That's why all our food is squeezed. So he'll be having a big emotional problem if he wants to survive.
Yes.
Into vampires. I have vampire dolphins, pictures, and mermaids.
Yes. So that right now we're dealing with Esau as a vampire who is not himself Jewish, but if you want to get into deep lore on how a observant Jew, or not really so observant Jew, but has weird observances, deals with vampirism, check out the Hulu show, Judah. It's from Israel, and it's all about an Israeli vampire, and it is really fun.
We're not allowed to drink animal blood. There's actually a big argument to be made that humans are parv.
Ah,
Right? You can
yes.
nurse an infant
Breast
and
milk,
then feed them
yep.
a fleshig meal. You can-
Yep.
So is our blood the same?
Yeah. So we can, I don't think, I updated this text sheet before or after it got printed, but I have kind of toward on the last page to the very bottom, I list the other source sheets on Sefaria that I pulled from the Natan Slifkin article, and then I have a little bit about like how to have this conversation, which is about Jewish vampirism, which is a different conversation than the one we're having now. There's a Goodreads list that features various books that mention a Jewish vampire in some way. There's a Hey Alma article all about the estuary, which are seen as proto-Jewish vampires. But what's not on here is there's also a TV tropes link that gets into vampires who were either religious figures while being vampires or vampires who may in some way or another blessed someone else. Because the lore that I know, some of the lore that I know about vampires is that holy objects hurt them, right? So how could a vampire even bless someone if they're seen as so unholy? And in order to answer that question, I would have to spoil a whole lot of media and a whole lot of comic books and a whole lot of story, and TV tropes does it spoiler-free. But I want to come back to this question that I ended with. And I don't have an answer, right?
No answers in Torah study.
What?
Only questions.
Right? The rabbis try so hard to paint Esau as an ultimate evil. And that carries over. Esau and Edom continues to be this big bad in Jewish text. When you want a villain named, if it's not Amalek, it's Edom. And yet, those same rabbis are the ones who say that that person's either guardian angel or that person themselves gave us our name. And that is powerful. That helps us remember that people aren't entirely one thing. That helps us remember that even people that we might see as our enemy, or we might be in deep struggle with, or sometimes maybe even physically fought, although I hope many of us haven't physically fought, that they might see something in us, that they might have what to teach us, that they might have a name for us that rings true, and rings true for generations to come. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yeshua Koach.
Koach. You know, I have a soft spot in my tender heart for Joseph, first of all, always, with his princess dress and his eyeliner, but also for Esau, when he weeps at the loss of his father's blessing. To my heart is one of the most devastating moments in the entire Torah, and I'm always ready to lift up, defend, and redeem Esau as well as we can. And what stuck out to me in this teaching, Rabbi Bryan, thank you. First of all, delightful, but like part of that delight was the surprise that it should be from this figure, this mysterious, intentionally ambiguous figure, that we receive this blessing, this tremendous blessing. And what's is Torah teaching us here? But that sometimes blessing comes from the most surprising places, if only we were to open and notice that's there. So thank you for your Torah this morning. Tradition teaches that the Torah is incomplete